Good morning, my name is AJ and I'm making this video to talk a bit on dopamine. Now, what exactly is dopamine? See, the thing is, dopamine acts as a neurotransmitter in the brain and a chemical messenger. It is a part of your brain's reward system. See, when you do something that feels good, your brain releases a rush of dopamine. Naturally, you would be motivated to perform whatever that action that gave you that rush of dopamine in the first place. Now, why do we get addicted to dopamine? What causes that addiction in the first place? See, dopamine isn't the sole cause of your addictions. It's actually the motivational properties of dopamine that play a major role in the addiction in the first place. Your brain constantly seeks out anything that triggers a rush of dopamine. When you end up performing an action that gives you that rush of dopamine, your brain immediately takes note of that action and it links those actions with a desire to perform it again. Now, you have to realize that this is the main factor in dopamine addiction. So I'm going to talk a bit of my personal experience with dopamine and maybe you can relate with it, and towards the end of the video I'll share some of the things I did to get myself out of this dopamine addiction. So my personal experience with it is this how it started out. Around 3 to 4 years ago, where the world was in lockdown, COVID-19 was on the rise, I got a new laptop because my online classes had started. So I soon found myself watching, videos on YouTube and other things, and I would just skip classes to watch those videos. Soon after I got my own phone, I discovered something called YouTube Shorts, which is basically just 15-second to 60-second long videos of short form content. And I became heavily addicted to those type of videos. At the time, I also started consuming a lot of junk food. But let's keep that aside for now, because I want to make this video specifically on my YouTube addiction. See, if I wasn't eating anything, I would just be scrolling through shorts. I would miss out on projects, I would miss out on classes. I'd just keep the class on in the background and just keep on scrolling through shorts endlessly and endlessly until the day had ended. Now, why I'm sharing this now is because I have recently learned that this type of short form content actually releases dopamine. And because of that release of dopamine, my brain had noted that watching a video would give it that quick rush of dopamine, and the more I did it, the more I reinforced that habit. Every video kept giving me small surges of dopamine, and that in turn would make me feel pleasure. This would also make me feel instantly gratified, which is a very important term in this video. Eventually I found out, about dopamine. I learned a bit about what dopamine is and its effects. And I also learned that dopamine is something that your brain is hardwired to seek out. Now, let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Let's talk about why is it that our brain needs dopamine in the first place? Why is it that dopamine is present if it's so addicting, if it's so dangerous for our health? The reason is that dopamine is also what motivates your brain to perform actions. Things like YouTube, Shorts, Instagram, TikTok maybe, or even in severe cases like drugs and alcohol, release large surges of dopamine, which are unnatural. But also, so do things like working out, working towards a goal, exercising. These are all also dopamine releasing agents. And dopamine's main job is to motivate, to act as a reward when you reach an imagined goal or when you perform a certain action. Let's say, for example, you started working out consistently over a period of time. When you see the results, your brain fires a shot of dopamine, and that links you to perform that action again. Or when you studied hard every day for an exam and you see the fruits of your labors, you get another shot of dopamine, and now you're again inclined to work towards that goal again. So why do we tend to do things that are more harmful to us, like eating junk food, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, rather than doing the things that are, better alternatives? The thing is that working out, studying, and actually going towards a certain goal does not give you instant gratification. Now, I mentioned earlier about instant gratification, and now I'm going to tell you why it's an important term. See, the thing is, what you experience when you watch things like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, or maybe some other form of content is you experience something called you experience something called instant gratification. Whereas things like working out, working towards a goal, exercising, or maybe even studying give you something called delayed gratification. And the thing about delayed gratification is, in your brain's perspective, the quicker the dopamine release, the better, which is why we tend to lean towards things that give us instant gratification. Because, reward without work is much easier than reward with work. So I'm going to talk a bit about what I did to pull myself back from my addiction of, YouTube. See, you have to understand that dopamine is not your enemy. It's there in your body for a reason. It can be your friend if you actually use it correctly. See, every time you get an urge to scroll or you do something that gives you that instant dopamine, become aware of the fact that it is an urge in the first place. It does not make you, your urge do not define you. All right? It is an urge, and just like any other urge, it will pass eventually. And if you can, set an app timer on your phone for things like video games, social media. And the way you can actually do that is by going on your phone, going to settings, and you'll find something called digital well-being and parental controls. Here you can view your screen time and everything. So mainly you need to go to the app timer, and you can set an app timer for maybe 1.5 hours, so that after the timer ends you cannot use that app anymore. And one of the other major things you can do is you keep yourself busy. Set short-term and long-term goals. Dedicate yourself to working towards those goals every single day, because the more you keep yourself busy, the less likely you are to go towards things that give you sort of small surges of dopamine, such as YouTube, Instagram, junk food even. And when you accomplish a goal, reward yourself. Even though dopamine is one of the rewards for your brain, you need to give some sort of external reward for yourself so that you reinforce a habit of actually working before you get a reward. And keep track of your accomplishments. You can write it down somewhere or make a list to motivate you to try harder. Maybe there are days where you feel like you're not doing enough, and there'll be days where you feel like you can't get over a certain task. That is when you look at that list of accomplishments so that you know you've gotten over certain things and that you can get over whatever it is you're going through now. And if you find yourself scrolling, remember all those videos will be there forever. It is on YouTube, it's going to be there forever. But the time you have now is impermanent. It's going to keep on going. The world won't stop for you. Remember that the journey of self-improvement is slow, and you may not get rid of your addiction overnight, but surely across a period of time, you will notice changes. It's like the quote goes, self-improvement is a journey that requires patience and persistence. True transformation happens gradually, one small step at a time, as we grow and as we learn and evolve into our best selves. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.